Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's match preview time. Villa are away to Ipswich Town this weekend.
Dan, fresh trim, looking good.
I don't know whether it's looking good. It's very
I can't see it, I'm just guessing.
Very easy to deal with though, Roller. Very easy to deal with for the lazy man.
Portman Road this week. We'll get straight into the preview. Thoughts on this game?
Well, I'm hoping we're going to be a bit better defensively than we were in our last league outing. I don't think we can be much worse, to be honest. We went there and obviously got a very handsome result last season, the 4-0 win. I don't think it'll be like that this weekend, although I do think Ipswich are a bit in transition with Paul Hurst coming in. But as ever with Villa, you never really know what Villa's going to turn up and what it's going to be like. But no matter what Villa's turned up so far this season, we've got the results so far. So long may that continue.
You mentioned that transition. What do you think of Paul Hurst, the manager, and that change from having Mick McCarthy there previously?
Well, yeah, I think when things like that happen, it's always going to take time to get going. I mean, Paul Hurst absolutely ripped into his players after they got knocked out of the League Cup in midweek, and he's a good manager because he did a really good job at Shrewsbury. So we know he's capable and he's young and an exciting manager, which is obviously the polar opposite to Mick McCarthy. So they're trying to go a different route, Ipswich. I mean, I think it'll be a heavily transitional season for them. It wouldn't surprise me if they were fighting near the bottom. I mean, one thing they knew with Mick McCarthy is they're probably never going to go down, so they're probably taking a bit of a risk this season, losing that stability. But they're obviously a bit like Norwich. I think they're looking for some long-term gains, so they're going to maybe take a couple of bad years to long-term try and find something a bit more sustainable.
Do you think that League Cup exit will have any bearing on this next game in any way for them?
I mean, I couldn't tell you what kind of side they put out, whether it was their normal side or whether they weaken their side, but I think generally Championship sides don't really care about the League Cup. It's not much of a priority to them, so I don't see that it's going to make any difference. What might be more of a carry-on is the fact that they played Rotherham in their last game and they lost in the 94th minute.
Yeah,
and Rotherham got thumped the week before by Brentford, so that'll maybe affect them a bit. And obviously we're coming off the back of a late victory, so we're probably quite buoyant carrying off the back of that. So again, it's two polar opposites, but it's the Championship and anything can happen. Yeah,
I almost feel like maybe that Rotherham disappointment fueled the League Cup exit, and now they're sort of going to have to take stock of where they are and go, right, now we need to sort of forget the last couple of games, and maybe that it works out to be that instead we're thinking that a League Cup exit means that they'll be down in the dumps. It's that they're raring to go, and it's a really difficult game for us.
Well, laying into your players so early in your tenure is very, very brave.
That's true, yeah.
It can go one of two ways, can't it? The players, I don't know how much respect they've got for him early doors. They can take it on board and try and prove him wrong, or it'll be the absolute opposite, and that they'll think, oh, who do you think you are, coming in and laying into us straight away, when I suppose he's the one that's putting the plans into action and telling them to play the way he wants them to play. So it could go either way this weekend. You'll either see a tough, resilient Ipswich fighting for the shirt, or you'll see one that's down in the dumps where morale's a little bit low.
Sounds a little bit like my football manager career, that does, ripping into the players early season. It never works. Never works.
You're not a good football manager player.
We'll move on to Villa now then. We've seen what Steve Bruce had to say in his press conference. So obviously still light up front, things like that. Obviously best start since the 60s for us. Is it likely that we carry that on now?
You'd like to think so. I mean, we've got our bogey team coming up in midweek with Brentford. We've never done well against them since we've been in this league, and as I said, we went to Ipswich last year and won handsomely. I mean, I don't think we'll go there and thump them. I mean, I don't think we're playing well enough at the moment to thump teams, whereas maybe last season that was when we'd really hit some form, hadn't we? We'd really started to get going at that stage. Grabham was on fire, pretty much scoring every week. I mean, we're still building. I think when you know there's perhaps 2 or 3 players to come, I do think it's a little bit uncertain. Oh wait, there, the door's gone. Give me 2 seconds. I feel like the start of the season's been a little bit disjointed in terms of selection. I mean, we've had 3 different goalkeepers in 3 different games. The back four's been different every game, and I always think, while you know you've still got 2 or 3 signings to come, you always feel a little bit like you're in transition, and I don't think you get a chance to get patterns of play and stuff like that going, because every week technically you could end up having a new player in the team that hasn't played before. So I think it's good that we've got what I would class as an easier run of fixtures at this stage, because last season we were doing that and I think the fixture list was quite tough at the start of the season, so that's a good thing. But as I say, when you feel like you're waiting for bodies, I mean, Bruce said we're very light on the flanks, and I completely agree with that. We need some help there. I still, as well as Hutton's done, I'd still like to see a natural left back. I'm still pretty gutted that we missed out on Joe Bryan, because I think he fitted the bill absolutely superbly, and Codger's the only senior fit striker at the moment. It sounds like Davis is particularly struggling, and Hogan's a while away as well, and obviously I mentioned Grabban, we haven't got him anymore, so I do think we need some help up front, which again in turn could help with the wing, because I think Codger's better out on the wing. I don't think he's as good on his own up front. I actually prefer him on the wing, so that would perhaps take the pressure off the wingers a little bit, because that's another option there. So it's important we get some business done, because we are light, but we've got every chance of going to Portman Road and winning this weekend.
So I've just come to edit the match preview and realised that this camera overheated and died after about 5 minutes. So unfortunately we're going to have to see Dan Bardell's lovely face in full screen for the rest of the video, and I'll just be audio only. Sorry about that. There's been obviously a lot of talk about the performance and that sort of thing, and obviously we titled the podcast Performance Not Points, which, you know, like we've said before, that the result is king, and you can't underestimate how much a good start means, you know, especially compared to last year. 5 points better off already?
Yeah.
I think the concerns are valid. That is this a sustainable way of playing, that you only get a couple of chances per game and you just happen to nick it, or you have to rely on a piece of brilliance from a Codger or a Grealish or somebody like that? While I think the concerns are fair, I do agree with your point that we still haven't got that first 11 settled down yet, and getting those patterns of play sorted, and your set pieces and stuff like that, and everything sort of nailed down for the season, which pre-season is the time for that, but we weren't in a position to sign the players we wanted to, or if there was even going to be a club here at one point. So we're almost sort of playing catch up a little bit. So the fact that we've been able to get 100% winning start so far is almost a little bit of a surprise, in the sense that we're almost in that transitional period ourselves, and it might take a few games before we get our settled team in. It's a nice feeling not to be playing catch up at the start of the season for once.
I mean, yeah, it's an absolute bonus for us, because the starts we've got off to in the last few years haven't been good enough, and it's been a struggle to challenge for top two, which is ultimately where you want to be, because you see with the playoffs, you can get to the final, you lose, and then it completely affects your next season, and it ended up affecting our whole summer because of what went on financially.
So then we're going to try and pick a team between us. We usually have a little bit of a chat beforehand and try and settle on something, but we haven't this week for whatever reason, so we're going to try and go through it live and see what we settle on. So who would you play in goal? Is it an obvious choice?
I mean, Neelan needs the consistency of playing games now. He's going to need to play every week to get going. I was quite surprised he didn't start in midweek, although Mariah came in and had some iffy moments. But I think when you get a keeper in from a different country, we saw it with Galini as well, you have to be prepared that you're going to have to give him time. I mean, even Johnston, when he initially came in and was playing in the Championship with us, he made mistakes in his first few games, but then the long-term benefits were last season he was probably the best keeper in the league, in my opinion. So we've got to keep with them. They've both got pedigree, especially Neeland. I know he's very highly thought of. I mean, I did feel as if Bruce put the curses on him a little bit in the press conference last week, because he talked about his distribution with both feet, and every time the ball came to his feet, he looked pretty panicked and hurried. But it's his debut. We won the game, so in the end it doesn't matter. But yeah, I think he'll continue in goal. He's the number one keeper. As soon as he was signed, Jed Steer was farmed off on loan, so you've got to imagine Neeland's going to be given some time to bed in. So
we'll go for 4 at the back then, like we've been playing. Who would be your right back for this game?
I think Elmer. Delac came and it was his first start in the English league for a while, certainly, and I thought he did okay. I didn't think anyone was particularly great except for Twanzebe in midweek, but I think Elmo at the moment is the best option at right back, and if he's playing at right back, he's not playing in right midfield, where I'm not overly keen on him as a right midfielder. So I'd play Elmo at right back, and he ended up moving back there, didn't he, in the last league game when we made substitution. So I'd say Elmo at right back.
So you're suggesting that there'll be a change in midfield to push Elmo back? Because I would have thought that it would be Delat starting right back.
I mean, this is what I'd do. I'd go with Elmo, but I think Bruce will move Elmo back as well, to be honest.
Centre halves, I mean, for me, it has to be Chester, and Twanzebe would be my set pairing for the season.
Yeah, me too. Twanzebe played very well at centre back in midweek, and Chester's probably the first name on the team sheet, and you've got to give them a chance to get going as a partnership now and see what they can do. I think they'll complement each other pretty well. I mean, it does worry me that Bruce still in the press conference is saying, "Oh, Twanzebe can play right back, left back, centre back, midfield. Let's just." I believe we've brought him in as a centre back, so let's play him there, because I don't want to see Jednak playing there again after the other day. I mean, no disrespect to him, I really like Jednak and he's been great since he's come to us, but he's just not comfortable at centre back, especially left centre back. So those two for me pick themselves.
Is anyone that can push Hutton out of the team for the left back spot for this game, Dan?
Hutton does the best job there, in my opinion. So every day of the week, Hutton gets picked left back at the moment. But as I say, I'm really hopeful that we'll bring a proper left back in.
So you're going for a formation change, which is interesting. So you run me through your midfield. What would you go for?
Yeah, I don't think Bruce will do this, but he's mentioned that we're struggling for wide players. So for me, there's an opportunity to play a midfield diamond, because I
knew you were going to say diamond.
We're quite comfortable. I do love a diamond, to be fair, but we're quite comfortable with numbers in central midfield. Sorry, so I'll be playing Bjarnason in front of the back four, and then Horahan to the right of him, McGinn to the left, and then Grealish playing behind two strikers. And I know we're short on strikers, but I think Andre Green and Kodja could take those roles. I think Green would be good drifting wide, playing that position. He likes to pop off a shot as well, Andre Green, as we saw in midweek. So I'd personally be tempted to try that, because I don't think, with the lack of wide players we've got at the moment, I don't think the formation we're playing's working. We kind of get the ball out wide and just swing in crosses. But the only problem with the diamond formation is I think you probably need a naturally left-footed wing-back that's good bombing forward, because Hutton likes to obviously come in, which is he's right-footed, so you'd expect that. So I think Elmo's ideal on the other side, but I'm not sure if perhaps that would suit Hutton. But I just think it's something that's perhaps worth looking at, because I don't think the formation we're playing at the moment is bringing the best out of us.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'd love to see that team as well. I think that would probably be the most exciting team we could put out at the moment. I know this is the team you were picking, but I don't see Bruce changing the formation. I'm not sure I would either. I think I'd stick with what's there at the moment. I prefer Bjarnason in that holding midfield role. As I've said before, McGinn needs to play. Horahan, if you can fit them all in.
I think that's the problem. You can't fit them all in playing 4-3-3. Well, you can fit them in all playing 4-3-3, but obviously Bjarnason would have to sit out. But I don't think Bruce will play without an anchor man. I just don't think he'll
especially away from home. I think there's a case for a holding midfielder, especially away from home. So then you'd expect that going off the last home game, that it's Horahan that misses out again, which I feel is a shame, because obviously he comes on and pops in an assist with being on the pitch for 2 minutes or whatever. So it's harsh, but if you got a big squad and you make these signings and you expect them to play, people are going to be unhappy at some point, and that's just the way it goes, unfortunately.
I mean, I've got a feeling we could see Bjarnason out wide this weekend, because I think away from home his preference would be to play a Whelan or a Jednak. So I think Whelan will start in front of the back four with McGinn and Grealish either side of him. And I've got a feeling we're going to see Burker and Adoma, or Burker and Andre flanking Kodja. I've just got that feeling that he'll try something like that. I think Bjarnason played out wide against Ipswich away last season and did okay as well, so that might stick in Bruce's mind. But we've changed the team so much in the 3 games, it's difficult to pick one. You've made this fancy new graphic, and we haven't got a clue what team's going on.
Pretty much going to have to scrap the graphic, because we can't settle on a settled 11. But we know that Grealish, Kodja, and Chester will all definitely play. So there's 3 of 11 for you. We'll finish with a prediction as always. You can go first this time.
I will go first, but I just want to point out that when you got a prediction right, you couldn't wait to make a separate video for Twitter and make yourself look really good. But when you were miles off it, were you 4-0, did you say, Yeovil?
I don't know, I can't remember what it was.
4-0,
Turn the computer off by that point. So
You said 4-0 midweek. I didn't see any videos being put up of your prediction then. I was a bit more tentative with my prediction in midweek. I think I said 2-1. So I was closer than you. I'm going to go 2-2 this weekend.
Just to quickly defend myself for a comment on your prediction, if you'd not have said no chance to my prediction, I probably would have just left it. I almost just wanted to put it up just to prove you wrong, basically.
My own fault. I'm going to go 2-2 this weekend.
I don't know about that. I can't see us conceding twice to Ipswich for some reason.
I mean, we conceded 2 to Wigan, mate, so...
I think that will have to stop at some point. I feel like now we've played a few games, and I expect us to gel a little bit better, that we can't be conceding a couple of goals every game, because we're going to have to score 3 to win them, and that's not going to keep up either. I feel like we'll almost sort of batten down the hatches now and go, right, just keep it simple and grind out a 1-0 or something. Just get it done, get the points on the board. I think there's going to be a reaction from what's happened in midweek with the manager from Ipswich. I can just see it being that kind of tasty game, swinging around, never sure
who's going to nick it, if anyone. I can see it being a bit like the Wigan game, but I've just got a feeling for a 2-2 draw for some reason. So that's it for today's match preview. Do comment below with your predictions ahead of the Ipswich Town game and your preferred lineups. What would you like to see Bruce do tactically this weekend? Give the video a like as well if you have enjoyed it, and if you're not already subscribed to the Villa View with your post notifications on, then make sure you're doing that as well, because it really helps the channel grow, and we'd like to hit the 12k mark as soon as possible. Myself and Chrissy Dolan were in the booth this week doing the podcast. So if you haven't listened or watched that yet, then it's still relevant leading into this Ipswich game, so make sure you're doing that. We really appreciate all the support we've been getting, especially on the podcast. People seem to really enjoy that, so thank you very much for your kind comments. Here's hoping for 3 points for the Villa this weekend. Stick with the channel, stick with the Villa, up the Villa. If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.